On this episode of the In the House podcast, Michael and I have a conversation with Ben McCullough of Livewire Fabrication. Ben tells us about his background and how he found his way to the steel fabrication industry here in Austin, Texas. We continue to discuss the Build Different mission and dive into process adherence, budgeting, scheduling, and how Livewire keeps their projects running smoothly and efficiently. If you like this episode, please share with a friend and give the show 5 stars. Thanks for listening. Upgrade your construction layouts with trademarks. These heavy-duty vinyl markers are designed to withstand harsh job site conditions. They're durable, waterproof, and perfect for marking locations for electrical, plumbing, HVAC, and more. Available in trade-specific colors, trademarks make communication with your team simple, professional, and reliable. Whether you're recording benchmarks, elevations, or center lines, trademarks ensure your layouts stay intact, even under heavy traffic. New customers enjoy 15% off at checkout. Visit trademarklayout.com to get yours today. Ben, thanks for agreeing to do this. I know taking time out of your busy schedule to come over here.
Yeah.
And Michael, you too. Thank you. Because you're
Happy to be here.
you're finishing up a project, and I know that's extremely difficult time in those last few weeks.
I appreciate that.
As you're wrapping everything up. So
if I'm a little scatterbrained, just go with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you being here, both of you. And Ben, you just had a kiddo, right?
Dude, come on.
Congrats, man.
5-month-old daughter.
Let's go.
5 months.
5
Wow.
months.
That's crazy. This is first one or
First one.
Really?
Yeah.
How old are you?
41.
How's the sleep?
Really?
Sleep's the same.
Okay.
Just
That's
more
good.
interruptions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My wife doesn't sleep as much as
Yeah.
she used to now either. So we've been 5 months. We've kind of figured a balance as
Come
much as you
on.
can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until it changes tomorrow.
Dude, that's awesome, man.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Heck yeah.
Man, like that first year, my gosh, the amount of growth that happens in that first year, I mean, just developmentally
Yeah.
is absolutely insane.
You see everything turning on. You
Yeah.
know, from like
That's
day
wild.
one.
Yes.
Then all of a sudden, like the day that all of a sudden she's tracking objects move, like somebody walks across the room and then that head like has a delay,
That's
like
wild.
something with a signal that's like
Yeah.
weak, and then all of a sudden the next day it's like she's tracking it perfectly, and
Yeah.
then scared of
Yeah.
this one thing one day and not, and then all of a sudden that hand's grabbing stuff and it's like, oh, something new turned on today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
You
these
know?
little systems
Yeah,
are coming
they're
online.
just-
Yeah, exactly.
crazy.
Connections
Exactly.
are being made.
Yeah,
Right.
it's so crazy.
It's all happens like so fast. Yeah, it's amazing. Congrats, man.
Appreciate
that's
that, yeah.
Are you planning any more, or this is the only one? Or?
We're talking about it.
Yeah.
We're talking about it. It's we're older and it's kind of
Uh-huh.
dangerous.
Yeah,
I
feel you.
And so
Yeah,
we're
you're super old.
We're I mean,
Yeah.
me not
You're
so much,
ancient.
but of her, she's the same age. So
Yeah.
it's the responsibility is to be careful with.
Yeah, think
Yeah,
it through.
no, absolutely. My
It's-
my mother was, I think, 39 when she had me.
Mhm.
I'm the youngest, and then my dad probably about your age. Yeah, 40,
Yeah.
41. So yeah, I know there's a higher risk for complications the older you get.
Right.
My wife, her goal was like, I want all my kids before I'm 30. Like that's my goal. And we did. We had 2 kiddos before she was 30,
Nice.
and it's been great. So, but like I said, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. But I wanted to start by getting into your background. I was reading a little bit on your really fancy website here. Actually, you know what? Before we get into your background, what is Livewire? I've never understood. You're a metal fabrication shop, right?
Mm-hmm.
Structural steel, architectural steel.
Yeah.
But what is Livewire? What is that?
Livewire is just it's the name that a buddy of mine and I had always talked about doing for something, right?
Mhm.
Now he's not involved with as far as like ownership of the company or anything, but I have a best friend that I've been working on and off with for 20 years.
Okay.
And everywhere we've ever gone, we've done a lot of different. I mean, we went to grad school together.
Uh-huh.
Like we
Yeah.
met when I was an undergrad. And
Come on.
like, we've done a bunch of different stuff, but everywhere we went, people always said that like, man, things liven up when y'all are wild, and everything's, like there's always stuff happening. Then when you leave, it gets stagnant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not to like have it be in line with any electrician company called Livewire because I didn't realize that. Like when I did it, like oh wow, yeah. But we were in Philadelphia one time and we saw Danger Live Wire, and it was always like, man, that's cool. Like that just sounds neat.
That's awesome.
Like a punk band or something,
like AC/DC,
something. Yeah, and so that's kind of where it came from. Was you put us anywhere, and it was.
You're dangerous.
Well, just things happen.
Yeah.
Well, and welding is,
in the best of ways,
essentially shorting out a live wire. So, it kind of had multi, more or less.
Well, give us your story. How did you end up here? Were you born in Texas? Or?
Yeah, I'm from Houston originally.
Oh, no
H-town.
kidding. Me too. Yeah, awesome.
Let's go.
From north side of Houston.
Heck yeah.
And
where at?
family, Cypress.
Okay, yeah.
Jersey Village.
awesome.
My family's been in Jersey Village since actually they founded it.
That's awesome.
Wow. It's named after the milk farm.
Bet it
The Jersey cows that were there for.
bet it looks a lot different now.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's even, it
My
can't
wife.
ever go home. Like
My
they
wife's
say
from
that for a
Cyprus.
reason. Huh?
My wife's from Cyprus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, no,
Same there.
it used to be cow fields. It's
Oh,
everybody's story of.
Yeah.
Like, I tried to go home and there's an HEB there.
Yeah,
we used to play in that
what
field.
the heck?
Yeah, man.
Houston's been changing. Every time I go back, it's like sometimes like after Katrina, I was gone for that. And
Oh, yeah.
come back and it's like, whoa, bomb went off. And then
Yeah.
you come back and it's like, whoa, no, they started developing things. And then now it's, downtown has the Post and like the food scene's like super cool.
Yeah, it is.
And,
It's got a lot of good food.
yeah, they're really working on it,
Mm-hmm.
But from there originally.
It's a very industrial area. It's like very business oriented.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
Heartbeat of the oil industry.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, baby.
And medical,
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
It's,
What is it? The Memorial Hermann Hospital?
It's where I was born. Yeah, I mean,
No kidding.
I mean, it's one of the places you
Yeah.
you go and so yeah, that's grew up there and then went to undergraduate at Kansas City Art Institute.
Sweet.
And went there for, I don't know, it was like photography or something. And I was walking around the campus and I hear all this music going, and I'm walking back there, and there's a bunch of guys back there at the time, and they're all just drinking beers, and they're all of a sudden they're all covered in leather, head to toe leather.
Oh.
And one of them's got what looks like a spacesuit on. I'm just like, what is this?
What the heck is going on?
And they're
here?
pouring bronze, right? Like, so that's the
Oh.
foundry in the back of the sculpture department.
That's cool.
And you see liquid bronze, they're pouring it in the molds, and I was like, that's what I want to do.
You're like,
I want
cool.
to know what that is.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And so after that, like, made it through the foundations program, which back in the day they had one of the best foundation it was.
What is that?
It's basically the freshman year. So
It's like basics art kind
It
of.
is, but they try to take apart what you know.
Hmm.
Like you come in, everybody's like, "Oh, you've always been good at drawing. You
Uh-huh,
learn to
yeah.
draw." But then like they teach you color theory by doing line drawings, and dissecting color into doing things like that, and
Yeah.
then kind of just like, really taking down like the understanding of visual language and doing it through weird little cardboard shaped things and
random,
scale,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And learning how to do that. And so, it seemed like it was, pretty elementary, and it is, but it's still kind of difficult to understand.
Yeah.
Well, at least to translate by hand, what you're seeing. And so after that, I was like, I was there day and night,
That's cool.
learning as much as I could about everything. I wanted to fabricate there, at least some sort of
Yeah.
a semblance of it.
That's cool.
And so, I didn't go to welding school. I went to art school to learn how to weld. But my dad
That's
really,
awesome. Yeah.
like my teachers were, they were some of them were famous artists. Like Jim Leedy was one of the pioneers of abstract ceramics. Does a cup have to hold water to be a cup? The concepts of that, and then
I mean, kind of, right?
yeah, but I mean, it's still. But I mean, like if you draw a cup, is it a cup? It's like the three chairs.
That's a drawing
piece.
of a cup.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Continue. Sorry, I didn't mean to be so rude.
No, you're good. But it's ideas.
I'd
right?
love to see you in art school.
Oh
Lonnie.
my gosh,
I'd be
I would not be a good fit. I think.
That's so good.
Yeah, it's there, but you've at the same time you have those types of ideas where there's a guy named Larry Beckel who's one of the most influential people in my life. That he was one of the art directors when they were building the Wynn Hotel in Vegas. Everything in Vegas from the ground floor, to the bottom of the second's real. Everything above that's fake. And it all has to be fireproof, and it all has to look exactly the way it's supposed to, like faux finishing concretes and marbles and making them look that way. And then, at the same time, those hotels don't stay there forever. Once they've had their heyday, they either, they blow them up or, repurpose them to something else. So one of the guys that was in charge of that kind of stuff, came back to teach at the school that he went to.
Oh, cool.
So you have that kind of influence, so learned a lot about building stuff from him.
That's really super.
That's
it's
super
kind of
cool.
some architecture kind of going on in there a little bit, probably.
Well, and the concept of things being real, like what's real, right? Like, does it have to be bronze to represent bronze and the idea of something are you doing it because that's what you want, or is it, is there something else there? And
we actually get into that a lot when we're talking with clients about, okay, you could pay for the real, timber beams or the real, whatever it is, marble backsplash, the real tile ceiling, or, and then you talk about these other things, and there's always an interesting
right,
discussion with them about, oh, do I want that or not?
Right. And how much do you value
how much do you value that? Yeah. Right. Yep.
And that's generally what it breaks down to.
And sometimes it's yes, 100%. And other times it's like, oh, I didn't think about that. Oh, yeah, that gets across what I want. And we'll go with the cheaper option.
Right.
Yeah. And that's an interesting point you bring up about, what is real. I was actually thinking about that the other day because honestly, the way we build nowadays, like everything is fake. Like we build a house, it's either, framed out of wood or metal, and then you clad it with something, right? So you're giving the appearance that it's solid stone, but it's not. It's all veneer. It's all ornamental. It's all fake. Because realistically, to go back to the older building methods and having mass stone is incredibly uncomfortable, and it's not energy efficient.
Right.
So, the way we build nowadays, I think, is superior, but it's all ornamental. It's not actually what it is saying it is.
Right.
I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it absolutely makes sense. I mean, does it become part of the building science, or is it cost prohibitive, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the cost of materials, have gone up so much.
Oh, 100%.
So, is it that, or is it the thermal, properties of your house, the waterproofing of your house? Like, do we want to build it all the clay? It's like, well, that's a giant Trombe wall. Like, no, we can't do that, you know? So there's like an aspect of that. And then, obviously budget plays a huge thing.
Oh, yeah.
Do you guys ever get into that with steel where someone brings you some crazy thing and you're like, okay, how do we do this? Well, you could do it, you could build it, with, I'm thinking like we did this vent hood one time where it was like, it was metal, it was giant, 20 foot tall or whatever. It's like, well, you could build the whole thing out of like plate steel and it would cost, X amount or, we kind of found a way to, okay, how could we, and we use sheet metal with a wood substructure, kind of getting creative with combinations of things. I mean, do you guys look into, not necessarily something exactly like that, but okay, someone brings you something and how do we make this not go back to them and say, yep, that'll be millions of dollars?
Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you get that, requests from homeowners, requests from architects, something that y'all are looking at that, you just want to present a solution to, and then we'll work through it, whether, whatever, GC that is, or project, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you see, logistics of even getting in, we want it solid. It's like, you sure? Like there was one that had solid 4x4, solid steel 4x4 columns that went all the way up. And
solid steel.
Solid.
Holy moly.
And it was like, you ask yourself, hey, are you sure? Like, listen, there's other things we can do.
Yeah.
Like we have options.
Like, don't get me wrong, we can do that. It's
Yeah.
just like there are other options,
Well, and then it becomes this whole thing, and they're like, yeah, you hear, here's what we should have did. And so I was like, well, I was always curious, and that's what they did. They put solid. We didn't do that, the specific part of that project, but they bought solid, and it was like, but why?
Wow.
Right?
Were they all exposed, like you could see them?
Yeah, you could see them, and they had corners, but
It's probably just a brag. I mean, just so you could say, hey, 'cause these are solid.
I mean, yeah,
That's a weird
Nobody's
brag.
gonna know. I guess if you go knock on it, you'll be able to tell, like, oh, this is a solid column versus a hollow sounding tube.
yeah.
I mean, that's the only thing I can think of.
Well,
It's not a structural reason.
It's wild.
There's that, but then also, one of the reasons why we kind of in the beginning of it, and they found out, later, is that you had to buy a whole truckload of it because mills don't. There's no reason to they don't produce that stuff.
No.
So you have to go to the mill and say, hey, it's like any kind of rare shape that you want. You're like, oh, we want this beam 100 and blah 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 feet. It's like, well, you have to buy a whole mill run. Because when you look at the scale of a house, so say like some of the larger ones we see are what, like they max out generally at 200 tons, the very small percentage at that, average is anywhere between 20 and say 50 tons,
Sure.
Of the 10,000 square feet and up or whatever,
Yeah.
8 to
Yeah.
that's a small margin of what steel
Tiny.
suppliers sell.
Tiny.
Yeah.
Right.
I had somebody ask me to go to the steel yard and go, hey, can you go pick out the straight beams? Like, you don't understand. Like, even if they were to let you do that, which they won't,
Yeah.
if you go and see it on the ground, they're still going to take a bunch of chains and wrap it around there with a gantry. When they pick it up from both ends on a 60-foot or 40-foot beam, it's going to bow 3 feet before they throw it on the truck. And then it's got to move multiple times before we even cut it. So
100%.
so it's either design it in, but they don't plate you can get preferential treatment on, but other than that, like, it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just not how it works.
Well, kind of go back into your background a little bit. How did you go from like art school and photography and what you're learning to Livewire?
Well, I mean, I followed the art thing for a while. Like I went to, after undergraduate, I went to grad school at the University of Delaware. I got paid. My buddy John and I went. We both got full rides and
Sweet.
and got to teach up there.
That's awesome.
And did that, for 2 years. Graduated, and then it was like, what now?
Mm-hmm.
Applied for teaching jobs and like that whole thing. It's like I get to play in a metal shop all day and then teach people to do it. Like,
Nice.
and taught for a number of years, but then it wasn't panning out, and that was in I was in between 2008 and 2010, so it was a perfect time to be in school. The rest of the world there was a lot of stuff going on, and after I got out, it was like, okay, now what? And I was doing public art stuff, with some stuff that I'd done there, and I had a small shop that I was doing stuff out of, and I ended up living in a contemporary art museum for about 5 years.
Wow.
That was the only gig I could get. I was the head of security and operations there.
Come on.
And
Hey.
part of the gig
Yeah.
was living in the museum.
No way.
So I had an apartment in the museum. It was
Wow.
this giant old train building.
That's
In the
crazy.
middle of Wilmington, Delaware.
No way.
And I worked like, I don't know, it was like 80, 90 hours a week.
Whoa.
Somebody would call us, like, you get out of bed, you go, like, unlock a door. Like, there's artists that have this, in full-blown galleries inside. And after a while, my buddy John had kept calling me, and he had disappeared. We talked once a month or so. He goes, hey, man, I'm building some really big stuff. And I was like, yeah? What are you doing? He goes, like, really big. The building's
Massive.
12 acres, and they were putting these machines in them, and he's like describing it to me. I was like, I don't even know, like, what?
Oh, yeah.
And so, I had been in this museum. I'd been watching how the process of getting shows, like I'm like, I live here.
Yeah.
Like, I got to be able to get a show here, right?
Yeah.
But I don't have time to make work. So, like,
Yeah.
and I think I was getting paid something like $20,000 a year. Like, it was nothing.
Yeah.
But I mean, I didn't have rent. Like,
But
and I was
hey,
single,
you were,
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, that sounds good because this is getting old,
Uh-huh.
you know? And
Yeah.
so I quit and I bought a truck. I had a shop that I was doing a lot of stuff on the East Coast. There's a lot of very old houses, you know, and there's a lot of brass and there's a lot of bronze. So like aside from working that many hours, like I was making or refinishing bronze and brass fixtures for these old houses, you know, as supplemental income.
Yeah.
So once he said, yeah, man, he goes, just get your stuff, put the rest of it in storage and like come out here. You need to see this. Like we need you out here.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, cool. So I quit, packed all my stuff in storage, bought a Toyota Tundra and drove out there. I think that was in like 2013, something like that, to Bristol, Indiana. And what it turned out he was doing was
Midwest.
Yeah. And they were building cardboard plants.
Okay.
And he was part of his boss was an engineer, which ended up being my boss. And we ended up being millwrights for we'd come and he'd have a series of contracts, you know, for whatever it was. When you started, you didn't stop. It was 7 days a week, minimum of 10 to 12 hours a day.
Wow.
They generally lasted for about 10 to 12 months.
Wow.
So, and it was from dirt. We would start fabricating whatever, you know, whether it was the racks inside until the machines started to get there. You know, they order the machines from Germany like a year in advance or something.
Okay.
Because it takes forever. They're 2,000 feet long.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And each section was between 20 and 30,000 pounds.
No way.
Gosh.
So every one of the plants is always built near a train line because it's the only way you can get some of those sections in, like that are even heavier than that.
Uh-huh.
So we would come and we'd start building stuff, you know, whether it was utility racks that were support things, and they'd bring the machines in and we'd help them do that. And, you know, from nothing, from a slab to like, you know, they're erecting the buildings or, you know, whatever it was. Like once the machine was in, like all of a sudden it's like, what are we going to do? It's like, okay, boys, we're running Cat 5 today.
Wow.
And you'd run like tens of thousands of feet of, you know, Cat 5 to all the little, you know, that talk to the forklifts that we'd later see going.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then, you
Oh my
know,
gosh.
they'd turn the machines on and those things would just be like all over the place. And so it went from like the super creative, like do whatever you want. Nothing has to be square. Organic's even better in steel art to like, you know, everything's got to be within 1,000th, you know, once you start working on the machine and something happens, but they're not going to, you know, they have the people who know how to put the machines together, but they don't have anybody else there. And it's like, you have this right here. We had a sea container, a 302 Trailblazer, a telehandler, and a Harbor Freight bandsaw. Like, go. And there was only like 2 or 3 of us, you know,
Wow.
and the rest of the trades would work just 5 days a week. And we know, we would come in and we would just keep going and going and going.
Wow.
Conveyor systems and just all kinds of stuff. So,
Jeez.
What
So
an interesting transition. Yeah.
it was,
That's crazy.
yeah, I mean,
Night and day.
it was interesting because like once you get to the point when you're done with like the normal stuff like steel erection and whatnot, you get into the problem solving, right? Which John, me, and then there was another guy for a little period of time. We're all kind of, you know, metal workers from like an art background. So like whenever you're presented with a problem, you know, how do we get that to work? And our boss was an engineer. So like we could throw out all these things and be like, all right, let's do this. Let's do that. No? Okay.
Yeah.
You know, he was from Jersey, so like his responses were never like, "No, let's think about something else."
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
like,
It's like, you're an
brutally,
idiot.
he was like the
You're
other
an
side of
idiot.
Jersey. You know what I mean? Like it was with an accent and very stern kind of stuff. You know, so you didn't want to say something stupid.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, it was kind of a gut wrenching place to work after 3 or 4 years of. We built one in Indiana. We went up and took apart one in a 100-year-old plant in Connecticut, and so. You know, I was doing that for a while and making like 10 times or more than I was making before, you know? So I'm like, first time I've ever had money, you know, like good money, you know, and just saving it away because there's nothing to do but work, you know? And so we got towards the end of that. And I think we were in North Carolina. I used to drink quite a bit. Like I was a functional alcoholic. I am an alcoholic.
Yeah.
And about to say in about 2 weeks, it's been 9 years.
Come on.
Good for you. Good job.
Congratulations,
Appreciate it.
man. That's awesome.
And so like towards the end of that, Like I never drank at work or anything like that, but like at night, like it was on.
Hard.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and when it's Groundhog Day, like you're getting up. We stayed in hotels, but like it's like I don't even know. You don't know what day it is because there's no break,
Right.
You know, and it's always just something, you know, whether it's always the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna get yelled at today. I'm gonna have to work past when we thought we were gonna go home. I told my family we're not coming home for Christmas. You know, like my family used to put pictures of us, or me rather, like in the family photos,
Uh-huh.
you know,
Yeah.
and missed a lot, you know, doing that, and I got tired of it.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
can imagine.
and my body was shutting down between that and my, you know, my drinking.
Yeah.
And so the last day of our contract, I got arrested in a parking lot and went to jail for a couple of days. It took 2 days for my blood alcohol to come down.
Oh my gosh.
And
Dang,
That's
crazy.
But
impressive.
and they wouldn't give me, the bail bondsman wouldn't give me a bond.
Yeah.
You know. And I was walking in a parking lot. Like I walked in, I hopped in the truck, and it was the day after, right? Like we would literally stay an extra day and not drive cross country.
Yeah.
Because we knew that the last day, like we were going to go hard and that potentially something like that could happen, right? Well, like going to and the hotels we stayed in weren't always the greatest. So we go get water. We just pound water and just eat food and like pack our stuff up and then drive home. Well, I got popped during that. And, you know, I'm not proud of it, but what it did was I was like, you know what? I'm done.
Kind of a wake up call.
Yeah. Like
That's great, man.
I'm done. Like I don't want to, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that for a living. Like it was not what I wanted to do. Like it was fun for a long time. Like, and it was exciting.
Yeah.
But then at a certain point, like it was, it just wasn't doing it. Like it wasn't a way to live, you know, getting yelled at every day. And there's just, it's like, oh yeah, we solved another impossible task or we didn't. And then it's even worse, you know? And, so I went home, went to treatment, sobered up, and then, moved to Austin. Well, my ex lived here, and so we had moved here after one of the plants, thinking that this is where we were going to stay. My folks were in Houston at the time. My sister lives in Lubbock, and so I'm like, I don't want to be too close, but I don't want to be too far away either. Not to say that it's not saying a lot in Texas. But,
it's a good distance. Yeah,
so
3 hours.
Anyway, and I after I was clean for a couple months, I started applying to jobs.
Yeah.
And my first job here was with Austin Iron.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that was back when they had like a couple, I think it was like maybe like 6 or 7 or 8 people, something like that. And worked there for a bit and then left that and then went and worked for RKB. Did that for a bit. Okay. Familiar with Randy? And it's a good guy.
Yeah.
We did some good work, and they needed somebody to run it, and I, wasn't getting those opportunities where I was at. I came in, I was like, there's another way, and I went there, and it was good and all, but I was like, there wasn't the support, I think, in a certain way. Like there was a lot, don't get me wrong. Like I love Randy to death, but like I still was like, I don't know if this is something wasn't fitting. And then my folks were, starting to move up here so that they could retire. And, I got divorced during the middle of that one. So that probably had something to do with it. But I was like, I just don't feel it anymore. Yeah. And so I quit that. And then I was like, well, I don't know what to do now. And so I stopped and was thinking about it, and the clients kept calling me because I was bidding the work. Yeah, I was building the work. I was installing the work.
Yeah,
and they kept calling me, like my project managers that I always. And I said, listen, you got to call him. Like even though, like we won, like Rouser had just had started up, his thing, and Brett over there, and I did a job through RKB with him. It was a pretty big one. The day he closed the company, the next day I got the call saying we got that contract. Oh. And I was like, man, I'm sorry. Like I was like, I can do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, but I don't have anything right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, well, we're not comfortable with that. I was like, I totally get it.
Yeah,
nothing at all. Like that's fine. So it was either looking around town and not really knowing anybody yet. I mean, I had only been here for like 2 years.
Right.
And the whole high-end residential thing was like, what is this? Speakeasy steel, you know, like speakeasy building, like, you know, you can find them in the phone book, but like they're like the trades aren't accessible. Like what is this? You know? And I kept getting calls, and I said, call Randy and ask his permission. You do that, and he says okay, I'll do it. And it was like brackets or something, you know. It was little stuff. And I had an old barn out in Wimberley on my parents' place. And I had equipment. I had been buying equipment for this company for 10 years. Like I'd buy like a saw, or I'd buy like a, you know, like a whatever it was. And I had them on a trailer, and I'd just stash them. Yeah. I stashed them. Always had the, you know, whether it was a studio or whether it was a shop, one of the, you know, both about the same thing.
You kind of had this in the back of your mind the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew something was going to happen. And you know, I've had some good bosses, but then, you know, there are businessmen that run companies, and you know, it's the same thing with project management. You know, you have some people that go to school for project management. They come out and they've got, you know, typically spreadsheets, or you've got tradespeople who know that aspect of it, that adapt the other part of it,
right,
and then go for it. And they're two very different experiences.
Yeah,
you know, and I got tired of working for business people, and you know, there was just too many different things that I was like, you know, this is where I would want to work, right?
Yeah.
So I took one of the guys from there, and we started with brackets, and it turned into railing, and then it turned into, can y'all do structurals? Like,
yeah. Start small.
Yeah, and I mean, I bought my first forklift on the first load of steel I bought. You know, like I was on Craigslist, like, yo, meet me in this parking lot. Let's go see this thing. You know, and just from there, it just, you know,
just took off.
Yeah,
and now you're here.
Yeah,
that's fantastic, man. And I mean, I've seen your work over the years, and it really is incredible. It's art. It really is. I mean, some of the stuff that y'all have been able to do is, you know, I couldn't describe it any other way than just some kind of art piece that's made out of steel. You know,
appreciate
a lot of your architectural stuff. You know, obviously the structural stuff is very well done, but it gets covered up, unfortunately.
Right,
you can't see it, but it's really amazing some of the things that y'all pulled off, and it looks great. So,
well, we've had. I mean, I can tell you that it's not. It would be, you know, by myself, you know, or a couple of helpers. Like, it would not be nearly what it is. Like, it is the only reason why it is what it is now is from, you know, from the people that are here now and that were here before. Like, you know,
awesome.
It's people who care, who are into the same things. You know, do the pitch, you know, about what it is, and they're like, yeah, no, this, I've never worked in a shop this bright. Like, I can see everything in here, you know, like all of the things that that people complained about that are working next to you. Like, we made sure, you know, as much as we can, we're not perfect by any means. But we try to like at least make sure that the quality of life is good. Yeah. You know, and that's been a really, really big focus. Good. You know, whether it's choosing we get to choose our clients now, you know.
Oh, so good. That's such a blessing.
And
it's huge.
It helps because like we want to work with people we want to work with, you know. I think y'all have had I listened to a couple of them before I came here, and it's like, you know, the relationship throughout the process. Like, we'll come in and bang out the structural, and then, you know, the rest of the framing and everything goes on, and then we come back into the detail phase, and it's like, you know, y'all look like you've been through a war sometimes, depending on the project, you know, like 1,000-yard stare and whatnot, you know, but, you know, you know, or talking through details, or like in your middle of something, like you see something coming up, and it's like, let's talk about it now, before you get into something like waterproofing, or, you know, those things that would cause, you know, working backwards instead of forwards. And
for sure.
So like working with people who see those things instead of like, y'all did this wrong, you know, it's like, well, let's look at this, you know, and then you have that kind of conversation instead of like, let's work together.
Yeah.
And let's make sure that the whole, you know,
it's a much more friendly, like collaborative approach, and not like pointing fingers, especially when something comes up, which inevitably does,
right?
Always,
for sure.
Well, you know, one of the things that we talked about with Luke that I kind of wanted to dive in today a little bit was this idea of, build different, which is sort of this thought that we've been having about, what we mean by that is working in a way that's, you're setting yourself apart from others. You're building different. You're operating differently. You're not the status quo. You're wanting to do everything above and beyond. And you had mentioned to me, we were talking the other day about standardized processes and your frustrations that you've been having working with so many different clients over the years, and very few of them have processes that are the same. And some of the things that you had mentioned were, setting expectations to the clients, timekeeping and expense management and all this other stuff that goes into building a house. And it's like every builder does things differently.
Right.
So can you expand a little bit on your thoughts behind that and like some of the frustrations that you've experienced? And, let's just kind of dive into it. And
yeah, I mean, it's, it got wilder, and let's just talk about kind of how, there's a lot of builders in Austin,
Yep.
I mean, and after Corona, and the boom, pretty much all you had to do was go down to Ford and go buy a 6.7 and slap a name on the side of it.
Yeah.
You were a builder, right?
Yeah.
And we don't know that.
Yeah.
We see Duffy or any of these other, you see Witt on a set of engineering, if we're looking at the structural, or, you see a Ryan Street set, you're like, okay, well, they at least know how to talk because they've got, these, we know these people.
We've seen this before.
Yeah, we've seen these, and
like
these are good drawings, you know, and so, okay, what's up? And then we'll bid them, and then the thing about it is like the difference between, I don't want to say necessarily a good one versus a bad one, but like when you're in the bidding process, the schedule, like with we know what expectations are, we know that. And that is outlined in a document that you get, and that's not that other people don't send you documents. It's just, we're aware of what the expectations are and how the jobs are. You were talking about it a minute ago, that each one's kind of different, it's all custom and depending on the client and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yep.
But the timeline that these things happen, here in Austin, is dictated by a complete set of drawings, which happens depending on what is set by, client, either client expectations or availability of whatever that is.
Yeah.
Trying to get it done before the market goes up. Tariffs are coming. Like all of a sudden everything was a rush. We were getting, you're starting to like detail off of permit sets, so, there was a different level of kind of builders that were coming in, that were either moving here from out of state and like I said, some of them are good and some of them we prefer not to work with.
Sure.
And the same thing with the local ones. There's some that we prefer to work with and there's some that don't. And there are reasons for that. And part of it is the organization of either it's scheduling, the bidding process. We know pretty early on. You
get a feel for the flavor of the company. Yeah. Operations.
I mean, when you ask me how much a linear foot of lintel is to be installed and a linear foot price on that when it comes to steel, like, I'm sorry, but I was like, we can't work for you. And it's not an ego thing, and it's not it's after you explain that, and it's like, but we still need to do that. I was like, if that's how you want to quantify it, that's fine. But not all, like, especially with, not all of the trades can be broken down that way.
Yeah.
Like, can we figure out what a high-end structural package weighs per ton and what the cost is of that? Sure. But like when you start to look at things that way, and specifically that example about the linear footage for lintel, like I said, sorry, we can't do this. I said, no, you don't understand. Like, you're doing this, but can you please explain to me like how we can like cut some costs? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Cut all that stuff off of that chimney. Like, nobody can see the top of that thing. That does not need to be like half, whatever it is, like take it out here. Don't
Yeah.
take your lintel out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
don't try to figure out that one.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, look at these things,
Uh-huh.
and that's what'll save you money. And it's like, oh yeah, okay. I was like, all right. So I was like, we continue this conversation now if that's what we're gonna do. But like, you know, there are other kind of ways, and you know, in the bidding process, especially if it's bigger or if it's complicated, you know, that where they're at, you know, what their experience level is on construction, and because these things aren't, you know, always the easiest.
Yeah.
Especially if you're not working off 100% or 100% with like Rev 52.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, you know.
Which we've seen.
Oh, yeah.
We've seen.
So,
You know, there's an interesting disconnect there sometimes too between sometimes people just underestimate the complexity of some of these things. And they go, oh, I didn't. Sometimes that's on the builder side, sometimes that's on the client side or the architect side. I mean, it's not always the same, but you go, hey guys, this is actually really hard. And A, quantifying this, and then B, like thinking this is just some standard, oh, anyone can do this kind of attitude.
right.
It really puts everyone at a disadvantage when and then you're working with a trade on this at someone like you, and you're, you know, big in it, building out, and you're at the detail level of this. And you're going, wait, guys, why are we trying to value engineer this right now?
Right. And it's, you know, there's kind of a thing that happens, you know, where, you know, an architect draws a house, and now they're all doing them, you know, their SketchUp models and some of the larger stuff. And then now with AI, you know, you're able to create images and make all those things a little bit more cost effective so that you can see a visual, because you set up plans in 2D in front of somebody. I mean, I've never been in that sales pitch, but I can't imagine that that's easy. It's
hard.
It's the pictures.
Yeah, it's
Right.
hard.
Right. And that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you can't start talking about moving this wall over this way. Like,
Yeah.
there's probably a piece of furniture, because I can tell you that they're more than not, there's something that
There's a
somebody
reason.
bought somewhere.
There's a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or artwork
Right.
or
Yeah,
something.
there's a
Yeah.
Whatever.
There's
There's just something going
a view,
on.
a situation in the
Yes,
office.
right.
Yeah.
Whatever the top
Yeah,
five
they wanna
things are that
frame
they
that-
want.
yeah.
thing they bought in that place.
Right.
That
Kids
they love.
rooms,
Kids,
or
right.
you know, so you know, whatever that is, you
Yeah.
know, and they're like, okay, yeah, no, this is totally great. Like that, I see it here. Let's go.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden, architect sends that to you know, whoever, whether they have somebody picked out or not, or you know, who gets hired first, and then all of a sudden it's like, all right, we need prices on this. Go.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, here you go. You know, here's price for the 50 tons with the details or details not, you know, that you have at whatever you want to say on the side. It could be 50%, it could be 75%.
Totally.
We all know what that means.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you know, sometimes. So then you have essentially an incomplete design with a set of, in progress, right?
Yeah.
With a set of structurals on it that, you know, nobody's checked completely if there's interference or not.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah,
which
it's still in the works.
Right,
Still in
which
the works.
is getting
You
better.
know, it's getting better.
It's getting better. Like, there's modeling happening. That's what we do. Like, that's why we do what we do. So when you go to put those beams up and everything, like, everything has to fit.
Right.
Now, is it where you want it? Does it correlate with architecture and engineering? And that's another thing too, is when we get through our shop drawing process, we also know how the rest of the job's going to go before we put a piece of steel up.
Yeah.
If we get a set back with not a single mark on it, nobody's that good.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Like something,
sure.
something
You're like,
somewhere.
oh crap, yeah.
Yeah, like we got I hope I'm not shooting myself in the
Yeah.
foot. We got like a really big setback
Yeah.
recently, and they're like, "No, it's good, go." And it's like, "Oh, here we
Hey,
go."
like, dear Lord.
like,
Something's coming.
Okay. So question on that. So
Yeah.
so you're, you know, from starting out day one, just you and a buddy, to now you've got kind of this, you know, engine. You got this whole company of people, processes. So when you're in that phase, you're in the early, you're bidding. You know, what is? I mean, don't you know? I'm telling me all the Livewire, you know, trade secrets, but how are you thinking about those bids differently now than you did at the beginning?
Well,
I mean, I'm sure that's different for different clients. You know, I mean, there's some
Yeah,
people that you work
absolutely.
with repeatedly, you know how to dial it in. I mean, and in some, you know, I mean, I'm not saying it's not really how much you know or don't know, like those sets. Of course, that obviously affects but
Yeah.
but how are you thinking through that?
So before, and I can only talk about the logistics of doing the process, like, and that kind of, like, in a roundabout way will answer what you're asking is, you know, I did things, you know, with scale rulers and I'd print them out. I bought a plotter,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I would sit there and I would do my takeoffs that way. And then I would sit there and I would add it up. Like, here's all my cuts. Here's what this is going to be.
Yeah.
You know, add whatever it is on the both sides and then price it. And then, you know, guess on, because I'm a fabricator and I've erected steel. Like, I know how long it takes.
Yeah.
What's the site condition? Like, generally, unless it's like something bizarre, which pretty much everything out here is.
Yeah, I was gonna say, which is
like Westlake Drive.
Yeah.
You know,
it's
like,
just a bunch of hills.
it's gonna be easy.
It's
to get
a
to,
bunch
you
of
know?
hills. Yeah.
No, it's not. So, like, there's already like a standard for that.
Yeah.
You know, at least where we're gonna end up.
Yeah.
For the most part. And so everything that I've ever done has a sheet that has every bit about it. Like, it is all calculated based on all of our costs, our insurance, like all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so I run through it and I go, okay. And I look at the end. And one of the things that I learned through time was, you know, the conversation of, wow, that's really high, which I know now, like all those years, like I wasn't. You know, like I know where we know where we're at. We know where everybody else. We know where it's at as far as the pricing scale, and we learned that through. And it was just me doing it at night. Like, it was all night, you know, sitting there figuring it out, and then, like, you know, it's like, we need that price. It's like I'm still banging my head on the desk to see if like you're gonna freak out. Like, I sold my first architectural package from like doing $2,000 and $3,000 jobs for like 50, and I'm like, man, they're gonna laugh at me,
right?
You know, and then it was like, oh yeah, go ahead and go. And then, you know,
That's so great.
being in the field through that and seeing like all of the things, right?
Yeah.
Like doing those things and having organized everything involved with that, like you start to see every bit of like, okay, what could go better? What do we need to change about the systems? Like, what do we need to do here?
Well, there is such a art to that process. I mean, whether you're a, you know, like on the builder side or you're a trade, being able to dial that in and take every project's different, right? So you're taking all these different factors,
Right.
And there's also who's the client, and that affects the, you know, okay, that you'd going back to expectations. Okay, you know, Daglish's standards, for example,
Right.
that comes with a certain connotation. Okay, someone else might be, you know, as you're looking at these different things, and so it's cool to hear your expertise. So you're saying, hey, this is the world that we operate in, the market that we operated in, and how to maneuver through that at a cost wise to be able to say, hey, we've got this business that's thriving and is able to do the work that we want to do. I think that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's been a trip. That's for sure. I appreciate that.
That's
But
good.
Yeah, a lot of trial and error, I'm sure.
For sure, yeah. Like, it definitely not. I mean, you just got to win more than you lose, right? Like, and as far as like the jobs you get, you know, and I mean, we were batting like, I mean, we pretty much got everything that we did, and we wanted to for the sake of doing some of them, but you know, it comes back to like my ability to schedule what's happening is affected by your ability to schedule what's happening. Because what we're doing, we've got to be right up front. You know, if we're welding inside the house, like we have to either be right up front and we can't have backhoes or whatever filling in stuff while we've got a crane there.
Yep.
You know, like, or especially if we're bringing in plates in the house, because like you said, everything is pretty much plated. You know, the scheduling of that, and for us to do our job, you know, if another trade falls behind, you know, but not moving the schedule, you know, because there's not, like, it seems to me that in some of these larger ones, like, there's a linear progression of the schedule that does not move, right? So, like, okay, framing is going to we're going to be dried in by this date. Like, this is it. It's like, okay, you're saying that all of the things that are happening in that year or 6, whatever your estimate is, isn't going to go wrong. You're going to be able to get every piece of material when you said there's not going to be any kind of thing like, I don't know, a pandemic. You know, like, there's nothing's going to happen wrong. The drawings are perfect. Then, like, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know,
scheduling is so tricky.
I mean,
that's such a trip.
I always love the quote of the custom home building is only one of the few industries where the end user is involved in the manufacturing process. You know, so it's like, wow, you're supposed to make. I mean, imagine if we made iPhones that way. You know, where all the end users were giving Apple feet. That's not what Apple does. Apple goes. No. You know, see you in a year, and you can buy the new iPhone. Yeah. And obviously, it's a different product. It's not. It's a good thing that it's that way. But there's just so many variables as that are uncontrollable in that process. That when you have an attitude of we're controlling everything,
right?
You can smell that immediately and go, no, you're not. You're living under a rock.
Yeah, right. And when you're held to, you know, on our end, like we're 100% aware of that, just like, you know, y'all are. But like when somebody sits there and tells you like that's not what we're doing, that's not what we do at this, you know, it's like, really, right?
Yeah.
And finally, it's like, how many have you ever hit, you know, on these schedules that are like always so, you know, how many have you ever hit? Well, I think there was one back in. I was like, oh, okay, right on, you know. So
you know, one.
You know, so you know, you have something a target that's constantly moving. I mean, how easy is it to say, okay, this is your house, don't change anything, like. You have to say yes to this, and you can't say anything else. Like that's not a realistic conversation.
No, that's not.
You know, like it's not. You know, if you start seeing it in 3 dimensions, like it changes everything from the sketch to the. I don't care.
100%.
You can go around it in a model. You know, like which is super cool, but it definitely probably helps weed out some of that stuff.
For sure, it does.
You know, but if clients' expectations are when I say go, you know. You go. And these are the types of people usually that get to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then you were forced to be put, you know, in that position.
Mm-hmm.
Then no matter if those drawings are done or not, like we're going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
that happens,
at the same time, it's like, okay, here's what's shown here. And if you look at it, you know, and some do, and they say, well, this isn't going to work. You know, we need to look at, you know, architect and engineer, and I'm absolutely not hating on them. That's where I get my information from.
Yeah.
We've gotten them to where it's like, we'll draw it and we'll submit it. And it's like, okay, well, which parts do you want back first? And it's like, what do you mean? Like, well, which parts do you want released first? Like, I want the whole thing. Because my ability to make money is to get in and get out.
Yeah.
To get you the product that is going to not interfere with the rest of your process is my goal. You know, it needs to perform. It's not, you know, it needs to be where it's got to go. It cannot interfere with anything, you know, and whether it's structural or it's architectural, it's got to look this way. You know, it needs to age this way, you know, and, you know, we've gotten responses back. I was like, well, you know, this is a really complicated house. You know, we need to kind of look at this. Like, no, you drew it. Like, it's here.
Yeah.
Like, why are we reinventing the wheel on some of the standardized, like, simple details?
Sure.
Why aren't we just doing the same? Like, I've got my bolt pattern. I'm 1.5 inches from edge of steel. And I know I'm simplifying it, but, you know, windows go in to frame walls. You know, a certain way, you know, different window systems or, you know, but we know the brands that we use, you know, in this type of construction, we know a lot of the products are that way. And it's like
100%.
So why are we reinventing it now? You know, and it's like, okay, where does that come from?
You think that just comes from lack of building knowledge, maybe? The people in the office who are drawing don't necessarily know how these assemblies are supposed to go together.
I don't, and you know, we're talking about the broad spectrum of the house, right? So it's hard to say, like, but I mean, say windows, like in general, like, you know, because it's a point of contention for us is open spaces and large windows.
Sure.
But you know, if it's a new Windows system or whatever, if they always use the same Windows, but the details are changing. And I'm not saying that they always do. It's just an example is like, well, there's going to be shade pockets, but then I got I-beam. So that's the first thing we look for is the I-beam going straight through the shade pocket? Because probably is.
Yeah.
Or is there sufficient framing for shade pockets?
Another thing is like mechanical systems.
Oh, that's a huge
That's
one.
a huge, conflict with structural elements. Yeah.
Absolutely. And we're always out there blowing torches and framing.
Yeah.
Like, okay, it's going to go right there.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's another benefit of modeling.
Absolutely.
And using the BIM, and being able to, plot out where all your ductwork is going, through your structure. And then you can, before you even pour the slab, you have this plan in place of how your structural package is going to look because you're able to plug all that data in ahead of time.
Sure.
And it, again, like you said, it's not always perfect, but it might get you 98% of the way there. And then, and that eliminates a lot of headache in the field of, having to blow some holes through some I-beams during frame stage. And,
I just wish it went that way.
Because
generally we're the first. I can't tell you how many times we're waiting on your drawings.
Yeah,
and it's like, well, in the middle of drawing it, on one project, it increased by 30%. Like the weight went from 30%.
Yeah,
and then the stuff that was there moved. So like we're talking about and I'm not a detailer, but I've talked to enough of them, and they're one of the few that I've been working with for a really long time. I've watched some of the process. We've trained them. We have them in the office as well, and then watch them like, man, is that really thing that it's not my game. I can't. I can do the 2D stuff and I can run the. But I'm like, okay, well, it is what it is. As long as it works, I'm good. And I'll check your dimensions and whatnot. But as the softwares in Steel, they make sure that it is in code. The ones that we use, or the people that we have a standard for what gets detailed that comes out of our company. Like it has to be through a specific software, and which is got all the D11 code in it. So if you draw something into this thing and it doesn't fit, we want to make sure, we'll send that response first before we finish it off. This doesn't
flag, red flag.
Yeah, exactly. And it's is this okay? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, good. We have those conversations through detailing a lot, and luckily we have the kind of detailers that will point those out.
That's great.
Instead of just if you build it and the door's up here and the staircase starts 10 feet below it, it's in your drawing that way, we have those conversations because we don't want to come back and and say well, what's going on? I was well, here it is. Don't you know, you hear that? Didn't you know that wasn't right? It's well, didn't you?
Yeah.
Right. So, helping each other out and catching things is the part of that community that, we were talking about a minute ago is that dialogue.
Yeah.
And it's incredibly important on these things because they're so complex and there's so many different things going on.
Well, I wanted to pivot a little bit real quick and talk about your love of llamas.
Love of llamas.
Is this your
that's good.
This is your what is it? Your mascot. Your llama.
It has become
And what is it with you darn Steel guys and your odd choices for pets? We got Luke who's got mini donkeys. And you with your llamas.
Llamas.
So
something's in the water.
Wow. Wait, so you own llamas?
Yeah, I have two.
Oh, that's awesome.
Not the original one is gone, and I think Luke touched on that. I heard that one maybe before I came on here. I was like, I had a rattlesnake problem in my shop.
No way.
So I had it was a not cedar barn, but it was basically a wood barn, which the first one was 30 by 60 and not very big, but we got plasma in there and we were still pumping out 30 tons a month.
Come on.
But these rattlesnakes had babies in there.
Oh.
And I walked in one day, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, and like the little ones are the worst ones.
Yeah, those are the worst.
And,
really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they can't control how much venom they,
Oh,
so the
gosh.
babies
They just
are
go to
actually
town.
way more deadly than the adults are.
Gosh.
Yeah, so that was like, okay, well, we got to do something about this. And, I mean, you can have donkeys and all, like, yeah, that's cool. But I was like, there are two animals that I've always had an affinity for, and it's ducks and llamas, and it's mostly because I think they're hilarious.
Yeah.
You ever watch a duck just do it, like, just exist? Like, it's hilarious.
Yeah,
It's pretty
awesome.
entertaining.
So, like,
Wait,
What
so
is that
the-
thing doing?
So the llamas take care of the rattlesnakes?
yeah, so I was like a Saturday, I'm like, and I was like, oh yeah, no, they help, ward off stuff you don't want.
Oh,
I
really?
guess,
Trample them to death?
yeah,
No
so,
way.
yeah, I mean, I don't know what they do, but
That's fascinating.
we don't see anything
Huh.
at all. But buying a llama is difficult.
Okay.
Well, you on
I
the
can tell you
black
that.
market or something?
Well, yeah, I mean, you're not like, I can't remember, like Facebook Marketplace wouldn't let you buy animals on there at one point or
Uh-huh.
something.
that
forget-
checks out.
I don't know what it is now, but like, anyway, so I got on there, and I'm like, it was Saturday, and I was like, I saw a coral snake or something, and it was like, I'm done. I'm like convinced that this is the reason, and this is the reason I'm selling, at least. Like, this is why we're doing this.
Yeah.
And we had cattle from a farm across the river, the Montecito Ranch out there in Wimberley. And then, there's like 5,000 acre ranches and stuff like all next door and whatnot. And they had a bunch of Herefords, and I had a bull and a heifer. But I was like, man, he's already got friends, like, let's do this. But they just eat grass all day. Like, they don't chase snakes. And so I'm like, I want to see this llama chase a snake. So we got a hold of this lady, and she actually, the first lady like hung up on me, and she said, well, what are you looking for? And I was like, I need a llama.
Yeah.
Like a cool one, I don't know what.
That's all I got.
So
Give me a cool llama.
the second lady I called was a little kinder to my ignorance and
Yeah.
and brutal nature. She's like, no, you've been hung up on before. I was like, yeah, absolutely, like the lady before you. She's like, oh, no, you have to ask for them by their jobs.
Oh.
So
Llamas have jobs.
they have jobs.
So yours are
Interesting.
snake llamas?
Mine are guardians.
Oh,
Guardians.
They're guardians.
Okay.
So
Guardian
Oh,
llamas.
that
So
is good.
they learn based on their environments, and you can buy them.
That's so
predisposed to whatever. So like there's companion llamas.
cool.
There's guardian llamas.
Wow.
And then I forget what the third one. I think the other one was like show llamas. Like
Okay.
it's just a totally different.
Uh-huh.
And so
That's
our
fascinating.
first one, he actually was they defined him as a companion llama, but it was the only one she had.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
He was completely black.
Yeah.
And we were like, okay, how he's 6 years old, and it was like, I forget how much we paid for it. It wasn't a lot. But this lady had like 2 or 3 camels, and she had llamas everywhere. I'm like, okay, well, she knows. So we're like asking all the things,
Yeah.
Like, okay, great. I mean, totally black llama, right? Live out in the hill country. I mean, and I'd be working in the shop in the middle of the night, and then you just get that feeling like something's behind you.
Yeah.
And then you look, and it's like, all of a sudden,
bam, llama.
that head and that mouth is just like rolling in a circle,
Right
eating
there.
on grass. Yeah. So, and he would just like wander through the shop. We'd be fabricating stuff, and he'd just walk through, look both ways, and then off
Keep
he
on
went.
going.
And then, and then we were like, after a while, because they're really, really interesting. Like, they have a whole language that they speak.
Yeah.
Like they
Like to each other?
Yeah. So we got a second one later,
Uh-huh.
and Mikey is Tonto and Mikey,
Uh-huh.
and
That's so cool.
they're very, very territorial.
Mhm.
And so they have this like head signal thing, like they have these noises, like when they're really mad, like that bottom lip drops out and they look like zombies.
Really?
They do this stomping thing on the ground, like they stomp their feet, whenever they're mad at each other. So like you can always tell, and like the ears tell you everything,
Oh, yeah.
like what they're thinking. Like
It's like horses.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can kind of tell, like, just based on that bottom lip's down, they were just fighting.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
you know, and a llama fight is like something else.
Hilarious.
Like it's wild. So yeah, no, I've got my llamas.
And no more
cool,
snakes.
No more snakes. No,
That's
just,
awesome.
just the llamas.
That's interesting. I didn't know. I mean, I guess it's like horses or dogs. You know, they all have their different. You know, they were bred for certain jobs, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So I mean, I can kind of see that with the llamas
That's
too.
cool.
I just, you know, they all look.
God,
the
you
same
keep
to
their
me.
hair short? I feel like in Texas it'd be tough.
We shave them in May.
Do you make stuff out of their llama wool?
No, we don't. No.
It's probably not enough.
Is it called wool? Is it?
probably not
Yeah,
enough.
I think so.
You think
That's
okay.
what we call it.
Llama wool.
Yeah.
You should make stuff out of it.
We give it to. We know a couple fiber artists in our new neighborhood. And
Oh, cool.
There
we
you
trash
go.
bag it. So like
There you go.
that's a huge process. Like
Yeah.
folks that do that. Oh wow! Like you got to wash it and
Yeah.
go through the whole thing.
I'm
Like,
sure they say the same thing
Sounds
about what you
absolutely,
do.
Sounds
yeah,
terrible.
Like, what
I
I
don't
do is
have
crazy,
anything
like,
to do with that.
Yeah. So I'm like, well, I don't want to. It's hard to throw it away. Like
Yeah. It's good
you
stuff.
know, don't miss. You know. So yeah, we give it away. It's really hard to throw away. So we shave them in May. And
That's great.
And they look hilarious.
Oh, I bet they look
absolutely
so
hilarious.
funny.
Yeah, when he's like so, but yeah, they just hang out.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah,
That's all.
Well, Ben, I appreciate your knowledge and your expertise and your willingness to come on here and talk to the two of us guys.
Yeah,
And
it was great.
it was an absolute pleasure, and I appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate you.
Good luck to
Yeah.
you and your newborn, and have fun, and yeah, wish you the best. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Till next time.
Appreciate it.